Welcome to NGEN Markets training session. Meanwhile, while others are joining in, we can start with the topic we are gonna, talk about today. So I hope my voice is audible to everyone and my screen is visible. So let's go ahead. Today we are gonna, discuss about custom security analysis. So how do we add custom securities in the NGEN Markets terminal? So basically, we can add in multiple sets of custom securities in the tab. We have a custom securities given there, and then we are going to talk about Q&As basically. So if you have any questions, we will try to address them. You can either write it on chat or verbally, and we will try to address them all together. So let me show my screen to go ahead with the terminal here. Yeah. So as you can see, my terminal is open up. I hope it is visible to everyone. If it is not, please let me know. And yeah, so hopefully, as you can see, we have this system where you can actually compare multiple indices. But what if you want to compare multiple sets of uh, ETFs in the foreign markets, or maybe foreign stocks or commodities altogether? To do that, we have a system called custom security, which is called as my security. All you have to do is you have to go into this particular tab, and then you can add in that particular security by the price series. Now we have some certain data to show you that how do you add a custom security in the system, make certain portfolios, and then how to analyze them all together. So here, to add them, you have to click on this add a new security. You click on this, and this particular thing pops up. So normally when you load in, it will just show this particular tab. So let's go back into the Excel sheet we have, just a moment, and we will show you what kind of a data is acceptable in NGEN Markets portal, so that you can add it into the system. One thing it should be sure that, let me just show you this data. So I hope this is visible to everyone. Please write me on chat or verbally, so that I will be able to address this. Okay, so basically we have certain set of data sets for certain ETFs, certain index funds and foreign markets, and certain foreign stocks. Now let's say we want to add them up. Now normally what we have done is we have taken adjusted close of every single securities. We have not taken other parameters. You can also take into consideration as close price, but we have taken as adjusted close. So let's say we are taking into look towards Microsoft. We have a date here. As you can see, this is the starting date we have chosen for every single security. And then you have to add Microsoft into the system. So how do you do that? So what you can do is I will just hide this entire thing up to show you that we need to copy Microsoft data series into Excel, and then we should paste it in our system. So I just copy this, Control C, or you can just copy it. And once you come back into the system, all you have to do is paste it here. Once you do this, just type in MFF, Microsoft or MSFT. Let me just type it. Yeah, MSFT. And then, you validate the input. So once you validate the input, this type of, price series will be updated into the system, and you can just save it. Once it is saved, you will see in the equity column, there will be another, stock, which will be Microsoft added into the system. And likewise, I have already added JP Morgan, Visa, and PayPal before, but it isn't an updated data altogether. But this is an updated one as of 22nd July. So I can certainly add multiple sets of stocks to show you what kind of a analysis you can do by adding them into the custom securities. So let's add in Google as well, because they belong into a similar domain. So we can actually see how it is correlating with each other. So all you have to do is you just have to take a look towards where the price series starts, and you just copy the Google price series into the system. So I'll just hide this entire thing up to save the time, and that's how I will just copy this. So I hope this is visible. You just have to copy from here. And one thing to be sure is that when you copy the data series in the custom securities, you should be having an ascending order rather than descending order. So basically it should start from a older date and then comes to the current date. So when you copy this and then paste it, and that's how you can validate the input for Google as well. So easily you can just type in Google equities and save. So now you have saved two stocks, and now you can analyze those two stocks. All you have to do here is just click on them, and then the analytics will open up. So it did not take even a couple of minutes to run an analytics for a Microsoft stock. Now the important thing here is not the performance or other things, but you can do a very useful analysis, which is drawdowns, because you can check the drawdowns and see what kind of a drawdowns this particular stock has. From the last couple of years, like we have chosen as 10 years from 2010, you can see what kind of a loss this stock has suffered and how many days it took to recover. So currently there is a still recovery going on for this particular stock, and this was the start price and the end price, where you can see, and the recovery is 23%. So this is very very easier for you to understand that if you zoom this in, you can see the recovery period has already started for this particular stock. And what if you want to add in this stock into a portfolio? Now how do you do that? So to do that, all you have to do is come into the portfolios, add a new portfolio, click on yeah. So I is it yeah, so I just want to see that there's a chat which shows that there is no screen showing. So is it visible to everyone?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. I think so. Please check it out from your system that if it is visible or not. Okay, let's me continue this. So to add a custom security, all you have to do is just type in that particular stock ticker, which you have added, like Microsoft here, and even the Google. So I think Google was overwritten there. And let's say we consider a portfolio of two stocks, foreign stocks, and we run this. Now this is a hypothetical backtest of the current holdings we have today for that particular stock. Now what do we talk about this is that we take into consideration when you construct a portfolio, that this is what your holdings are. 50% of your entire corpus is going in Google, another 50 is going into Microsoft, and then there is a historical backtest of that entire allocation you have taken into consideration for that particular stock. And the benchmark, yeah, definitely you have to change the benchmark for this stock. It should be S&P 500 or something like that, which should actually be relatable against each other. That's where you can see what kind of a outperformance you had against that particular index, or specifically what is the risk exposure you have due to that foreign security. So you can just type in 99, and this is what your risks are. There's a 1% probability that you can have a risk of negative 59.47%. Now, this is very useful if you want to check out multiple sets of securities in one particular portfolio. Let's go ahead with another use case, that we are not going to hold just two foreign stocks. We might have some ETFs, and we might also have some certain other securities in our portfolio. So how do we do that? To do that, you just have to add in from here. I'm just going to add in some couple of domestic funds and ETFs and all that. So to add in, all you have to do is just add in those ETFs. Maybe let's say we go for Nasdaq ETF, so, and that is it. Okay, so that's what we have added, and we can also add in a couple of funds. So let me add in some couple of domestic funds in place. Now let's say we are holding this kind of a portfolio in our system. Now how do we analyze this thing? Because it's quite diversified, there are a couple of things which are going in there, and you can run this portfolio hypothetically and check what kind of a risk exposure you have in the system based on this securities you have added. So as a matter of fact, you can just check the correlation and see that Microsoft and Google are effectively correlating with each other. And that's definitely it, because they are into similar tech domain. And you can add in multiple set of securities, not just Microsoft and Google. You can add in even a FTSE index, or any such index which is a non-standard asset class for domestic in our domestic range. So this is how you can check out the correlation. Basically, the higher the correlation, the more their price momentum is similar against each other. So we what we consider here is that what do we correlating with? right. Like as a matter of fact, if we correlate a domestic equity mutual fund with a mutual fund, a high correlation can be 0.95, close to, and a low correlation in domestics can be considered as 0.60 or 0.75. But what if we compare others with others with our domestic equity? So let's say we add in a tech stock, let's say we add in TCS. Let's consider this. So are we going to have some correlation or not? So you can run many hypothetical analysis and see that what kind of an exposure the client is having based on the securities you have added. So there might be some case that you might have some HNIs, or some clients which are living in US, have invested in maybe let's say Vanguard ETF. So how do you make use of custom security to show them that due to your ETF exposure of 10% in the entire portfolio, this is how the entire portfolio behaves based on the historical backtest. And we can certainly do that analysis against each other. So I think I have one of the ETFs added into the system. So just a moment, I will just show you the screen here. One of them is added as Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. So what you can do is you can similarly add that same thing, the same procedure. There is no certain difference that what I've added for the entire set of stocks, I can just add in for the ETF as well. I can just copy this entire thing in from the Excel and add them into the custom security. So this is pretty much fine if I want to go ahead with. Just a moment. Yeah. So I just have to paste this up, validate the input. Once you validate, you get the price series. You just add in Vanguard. So I'm just going to add in Vanguard S&P, and then just save it into my system. Now I can easily, run my portfolio analytics, that if one of my client is holding 10% of the Vanguard ETF, I can easily do that. So I just have to, save this into the system, and that's how it is saved. It just takes a couple of seconds to save, and then you can run the analytics into the system as well. Now custom security is a very useful function if you want to analyze multiple set of non-standard asset classes. But what if you want to compare each of this asset classes against each other based on some certain sets of analysis? So let me just add in the Vanguard ETF first to show you the extent of this. So I'm just going to add this. So yeah, so you can see that I've added. So this is the same ETF I've added, but it was the it was the outdated one with the different price series, date series. But now I have added that into the system. You can see that is a custom security added. I have a 9% exposure, and I can run this portfolio. Now, yes, you can actually do a certain sets of analysis based on what we have actually take a look into. So you can see Vanguard and Microsoft is actually having a very good correlation. Whereas you can also add in more ETFs and index funds from Fidelity or Schwab to actually check what kind of a diversification that particular client is having. So he may have some domestic mutual fund in place, but to hypothetically test that what kind of a diversification the entire for his entire investment a client can have. This is a very, very underrated and useful function called as custom securities. Now we have also added one important function, which is to actually add all the custom securities plus stocks and plus mutual funds directly into the compare section. As you all know, a compare section is a very powerful function. All you have to do is just click on compare. That's it. All the custom securities, all the funds, all the ETFs, whatever you have added is actually onboarded into the compare section. Now here there are huge possibilities to check what kind of performances each of the securities are actually backtesting. As a matter of fact, I can actually check a risk versus return, a simple risk versus return, to see what kind of a risk exposure I'm having based on this entire selection of the entire security selection of the client that the client is holding currently. And you can also do a rolling analysis on the same. Now, I'm not going to talk about rolling analysis for simple returns because that was already been covered. But there is a gist that if you take into account simple returns, it just means that specifically, what if you invest every day from this particular start of 2017 till 2022 and get a certain set of returns? So every single data points shows you that these are the sum of the previous 260 days daily returns. Now here you would like to know that what is my average and which particular security is giving me a good average. So these are the securities which gives you a good average. Plus you can also check the volatility, because that is very, very important. So this is a rolling wall, a rolling standard deviation for a 260 days period, which rolls in and which shows you that what kind of a standard deviation even these stocks, mutual funds, and all the ETFs are suffering. So basically you can see Vanguard had a very huge increase in the volatility in February 2019. And that's because volatility is not static. It changes by the time, point of the time the entire time series changes. So you can actually see what is the average volatility I have. And you can see that some of the stocks, some of the two stocks we have, like from foreign equity and TCS, are quite volatile. They have a huge set of volatility against others, against other mutual funds, if you do the comparisons for. And that is how you can use custom securities to do certain set of analysis. And one important is analysis is point to point, where you can do a scenario based analysis. So let's say you might have some use case, like there is some change in interest rate or something like that. If you know the dates of the economic changes, you can actually drill those dates there here, to actually sort in and check what kind of a certain exposure this particular you know uh, securities have given, what kind of a returns, absolute or an annualized return, the securities have actually back tested. So you can actually change the dates accordingly. Let's say from 2014 till 3 months of 2014, what had happened. So if you want to know that, you can definitely do this directly into the system. Now this is what you can do, and you can just sort in. You can see some of them are having a huge set of annualized point to point returns. So that's how you can check it out. And one important thing is, likewise, if you can do a custom security analysis of single securities, right, you can also do a custom security analysis of the entire portfolio, or maybe a portfolio of a portfolio, like PMSs, AIFs. All you have to do is, if you have price series of PMS, you can add them into the system here, and that way you can actually run that PMS into the system. So here we have one of them, but it is outdated. There you can run rolling analysis, distribution, drawdowns, and all kind of stuffs, if you have the data series of that particular PMS altogether. And then if we want to run some strategies, let's say we have five portfolios. One might be conservative, one might be highly risky, and it depends on what kind of portfolio you're looking for. All you have to do is, you just make a portfolio. So once you have already done with the model portfolio, let's say we are running one portfolio here. So let's say this is one of the portfolio you have actually tried to suggest to your client. And let's take another one with different weightages, maybe one of them. Let's moment. Yeah. So here, as you can see, this is one model portfolio we have. Now we are running this. Now we want to actually check that what this kind of a model portfolio, if I actually compare it with other model portfolios, what would happen, right? So what you can do is, you can just click on this prices, because as our system gives you an ability to download prices for any security, even for mutual funds. So all you have to do is click on this prices, and an Excel gets downloaded in a CSV format. So all you have to do is just open, and once you are done with that, all you have to do is copy that price series into the system, same like what I've shown you for other custom securities. You don't have to take into account returns anyway, but you can directly copy this price series from here and paste it into the system. So as you can see, this is all I've taken into account from November 2009, and all I have to do is just come back to my system and paste it directly from here. So I have to click on this add new security. I click on this control V, equity or debt, whatever asset class you have for that particular portfolio, validate the input, and that is what your model portfolio strategy is. So I'm just saving this strategy in front of you. This is my first strategy I've added. Now I can actually compare any portfolio against each other into the compare section. To do that, I just save this and I come into the compare section. So as this is saving, I can go back to the compare section and look for my select security option. So as you can see, this is the main list I have. I will remove all this and I will add select security to check if my strategy is added. So you can see this model strategy one that was added by me is added into the system. And you can see a lot of, a set of data sets already given here, like the Sharpe ratio for this particular portfolio is 0.71. This is the 10-year, analyzed returns. So all of the entire thing is given here in front of you, and you can also make a comparative, relative analysis based on whatever, like, let's say your portfolio was largely about large caps. So you can take into account any of the index altogether and compare it and see what is in beta or an annual excess return over that benchmark you're having. Now, this is not just one case. You can add multiple strategies in place. So, I have already added them into the system. They are outdated, but you can add them, and you can actually run them against any prospective client. A prospective client can be anyone, or maybe a client. So you can just check if those clients are actually, better than your strategies or not. So, all you have to do is just click on any prospective client. So I just have this one, and then run them into the system. So to run them, it's pretty easy. You just have to click, on risk versus return, or maybe correlation analysis, to see how correlated are your strategies. So definitely, there might be a possibility that your strategy is pretty correlated. As you can see, my model strategy and my moderate strategy are one and the same. They're behaving one and the same. So because they had that constituents which are exactly identical, and you will actually see the same risk versus return for my moderate and the model strategy. So accordingly, you can actually see this is your prospective client, and you can change the dates, because dates affect the standard deviation and the returns. So you change the dates, and you can actually see certain sets of where the client is actually underlying in the prospective and a conservative and a highly adventurous manner. And you can also check a rolling analysis on them. So for rolling analysis, we have also added one important parameter, which is volatility, return upon wall. A return upon wall gives you an ability to see that based on the rolling return upon wall, what kind of a, average I'm generating. So higher the average, the better is that strategy against, the risk you're taking and return you're generating for that particular portfolio. So my model strategy, which is as the same as moderate, is actually, the second best. The first is the conservative one, and my client, which is having an average of 1.14. So if I want to persuade my client to go for a highly adventurous strategy, I can tell him that the risk you're taking and the return you're generating is as similar as, the risk you're taking for the current portfolio he holds. So this is how this works out from this particular date. And every single 260 period, you can change this particular, return upon wall to go for like 520 or 780, and check the return upon wall. So you can make it 520 and run this portfolio strategies against each other. So that's how this works out. Now you can see a prospective client is actually better for a, longer run against the highly adventurous. You can make it like 780 and run it again, and then you will see some different figures, that if we go for a 3-year period, uh, our highly adventurous is not a good model portfolio for my client based on the risk and return. So I would rather choose, the top 3 or the top second strategies for my client, so that it would be better based on the risk and return perspective. So that's how this works out for the, entire session. It is just a gist of the entire custom security analysis, as to how you can add multiple sets of custom securities, from my securities, and do a lots of analysis. So I have added many of the custom securities here. So I would recommend you to use this as well, because it will anyway diversify the approach you're doing for the analysis. So we have completed the session, so we can start with our, Q&A. So please, if you have any questions, please shoot us. We will try to address them. So are there any questions? Any queries? Yeah, you can get the recording of this. We will be adding them, soon in this weekend. I think we were not able to add the last two recordings. So in this weekend, we will be adding three recordings for the last couple of weeks, and that will be there into the system. All you have to do is you just have to click on this YouTube demos and training, and it will, get you to that YouTube channel. We actually show all our demos for. You can just go into the playlist and look towards webinars. This is the webinar you can do. We also have updates and functionalities one. So this is where we will be adding them. So you can subscribe it or make it a bell icon so that you can get a notification. Or either ways, our team will be uh, submitting some of the links to you directly or personally. So that is how you can take a look towards all the videos we have added into the system. So are there any questions? Okay, it seems like there aren't any questions and queries. So we would like to, convey this. We can wrap up this session. So if you have any questions, you can write us on support@engineresearch.com. This is an email ID we have where we actively reply all those mail. And if you have any queries, please be in touch with us. One of us or maybe representatives can, help you out in the system. And if you need any trainings from our side, please let us know. We also give personalized trainings. So this personalized trainings are on the basis that what kind of a business model you have, and what kind of, let's say you're looking towards FOFs more and not towards domestic mutual funds, then we could accordingly adjust the session just like how do you want it to be, so that it will be useful and optimized for your own business. So we are also actively developing on other side as well. One of the development which is coming in is customized reports for the comparisons of the entire portfolios. So we will be updating them into the Twitter and also on LinkedIn. So we are active on LinkedIn anymore. And you can check out the YouTube as I've clearly stated. So anything else, do let us know on our mail, any feedback, anything. So we will meet again next week with a certain new topic which will be useful for you, tentatively Friday 4 o'clock. So thank you so much and have a nice weekend to everyone. Thank you.